I never thought I'd be talking about this on this channel. In reality, this is the second time I'm doing it, so this is kind of strange. I never figured that this was all of that important of a fixture of heavy metal music in general, but music in general. However, in recent memory, in recent years, and because of recent videos that have been seen over the course of said recent years, this is certainly an idea that has become, part of the culture again. It's something that's never really died, but this is one, instead of me making a response video to Satanic Illuminati or whatever the hell that other video was, this is one that's more so on my own terms. We gotta talk a little bit about Satanism, like that burp. That was definitely my satanic side coming out. But Satanism in music, evil in music, things like this, things that really scare the bejesus out of a lot of people and make them feel as though if you listen to these, you are wrong, you are going to hell, you will be damned, and things like this. We have to talk about this. We really have to talk about this for a number of different reasons, and the first one, the primary one, is that we have to understand a very basic principle about music itself. Music is this fantastic element that I have consistently said we're unable to explain. It has this strange power over our lives, but here's the thing. The music that you listen to whenever you are on the planet Earth does not dictate where you go in the afterlife. That's right, if you are a Christian, if you believe in God and you like Behemoth, if you like satanic death metal or satanic black metal bands, you are not going to go to hell just based around that. No. It's not going to happen principally because think about some of the different ideals that this really brings up. In reality, whenever you scope it, whenever you sculpt this whole idea of Satan, Satan is a fallen angel. Satan is an element of the Bible. He's an element of religion, of Christianity specifically. However, Satan or evil, the devil, Lucifer is kind of an idea that has been embraced among a lot of different religions, whether they be religions that are still with us today or religions that were there yesterday. Whether they be Egyptian gods, whether they be Roman or Greek gods, whether they be gods that were down in the Aztec, this is an idea that has been a consistent flow, a consistent need for an antithesis to all of the positive forces on Earth, really a basis of a simple property, yin and yang, good and evil, bad and good, etc., etc. So, think about this. If you're listening to music that is evil within the properties of the fact that you yourself are a Christian, aren't you actually just fostering and really being a part of the balance of life? Isn't it something that you really kind of need to do? Isn't there an evil in us all, just as though there is a good within us all? This is something that happens all the time. This is something that, you walk down the street, you see somebody who's homeless, you give them 50 cents, you've done a good deed. You give them a hot meal, maybe. You take them to McDonald's, you take them to Wendy's. That's a good deed. That's the good side. What about the times in which you walk past them? What about the times whenever you spit in their cup or you tell them to get a job? You might not think that that's evil, but that's fucking evil, asshole. You're a fucking cock-ass. That's somebody that's a human being just like you. It doesn't matter what hard times they've fallen on, they're still a human being. So you might think after I say something like that, hey, you really want to be good, so you should be a Christian, you should listen to Christian music, you should listen to happy music, you should listen to music that's able to foster your belief to the next level. And I've essentially just completely defeated my own argument. No. Whenever it comes to music, you kind of like what you like, for one thing. And secondly, you shouldn't be told not to listen to something just because it supposedly perpetuates evil. Just because somebody listens to a band within these genres doesn't mean they're immediately going to go to their nearest Hot Topic or Spencer Gifts, find the pentagram, put it on their, put it around their neck, where it's right there, right on their chest, shining forth proudly. They're not going to go out into the forest, mark off a pentagram in there, and start sacrificing virgins, goats, and other small animals and appliances just because they listen to one song from one of these bands. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. Some people may also wonder, is this a necessity? Is this something that we need in music? Why are there all of these evil bands talking about Satan and evil in music? Why? Well, first off, let's think about this for a second, and let's think about it kind of logically. Are they talking about the evil, the true evil of Satan, the true evil of hell and evil in each and every one of these songs, or is there some metaphor being used there? Now, I understand that with some bands, this is more direct than with others, and that is something that cannot be ignored. However, with others, you can definitely tell that they're talking more so about the evils of society, the evil things that we encounter, and the fact that they're embracing them as a positive thing is Perhaps because of the fact that they do offer positive aspects. People say that money is evil, but money is really what we need to sustain ourselves these days. It's not as though we have this trading or bartering system that perhaps was in effect 5,000 years ago, where if you wanted to get a CD, you had to present a small kitten, or a goat, or perhaps a golf ball. I don't know. That's not in effect. If you want something, you need to purchase it with money. Either that or be a really, really good thief and steal it. But if you're a Christian and you're a thief, then you're supposedly going to hell because you're breaking the 10 Commandments. Either that or you should just confess your sins because God will say he forgives you for you being sorry and everything's okay again. You need money. Money is, it can definitely corrupt people. It can make them into people that they weren't before they had it, but it's still a nice metaphor. Sex is considered to be very, very evil. The sins of the flesh, they call it, but we need sex to reproduce. We need sex to continue as a species. We need sex to really continue as a person, as a group, as everything. This is an urge that is within us. This is something that you wonder almost why they don't allow priests to either get married or at least have a sexual partner because of, and especially in the Roman Catholic Church, all of the scandals that have come down. Now, this isn't something where I'm trying to hate, but it's something that you kind of have to think about. It's something that you really have to imagine. Not everybody is going to be able to traverse life as a virgin just because God said so, especially whenever you consider that we need to have sex to procreate. What about the evils of food? What about the evils of the government? Are they talking truly about evil? Whenever they say evil, no, they're talking about organizations. They're talking about things that really can be a part of a conspiracy theory. Either that or be really something that's true. It's kind of scary in nature. But let's also consider the other side of that argument. The other side of this big, grand argument that we've made right here would be the fact that if you don't have any bands talking about evil, you shouldn't have any bands talking about the good. You shouldn't have them talking about God. You shouldn't have them talking about heaven, angels, or anything else that's really involved in those properties, because yin and yang, you can't have all of one and none of the other. It's something that cannot happen. The balance of the universe would topple over into this terrible fashion. Armageddon would occur. Cats and dogs living in harmony. Mass hysteria. It would be insane. It would be something that nobody would be able to really go for. This is all a side of music that's really for a specific portion of people. The people who are extremely devout. The people who are definitely in love with music like this. That are definitely very, very in tune with their faith. That definitely have it be as a part of them. Not to mention as a part of their community, of their parish, or their whatever it may be. This is something where you need to have both. If you can accept one side, you have to be willing to accept the other, regardless to the fact that it is the antithesis to your side. I don't like the Republican Party. I'm not fond of many Democrats either, but we'll use this as an example. I'm not fond of the Republican Party. Part of me kind of wishes that they were gone, but I respect the fact that they're there. Because if we only had Democrats, then there would just be one layer of ideas coming through. And sometimes you need ideas from all sides in order to get to collective ideas that are going to actually help society. But satanic music, let's talk about it a little bit more. Let's talk about it in detail. Let's talk about lyricism. Let's talk about face paint. Let's talk about culture, society. A lot of people say that these guys shouldn't perform places. They shouldn't be able to perform because they have these terrible, terrible sets. And, sometimes they encourage animal sacrifice and other elements of these terrible things. And, whenever a Christian band performs, what is one thing that they do encourage? They encourage prayer. Prayer is a part of the Christian sect. It's a part of the Christian religion. It's a part of the Christian culture. It's part of the process. Now, if you have the other side, should they not be allowed to do what is perhaps a part of the satanic agenda? Part of the evil agenda? The Luciferian agenda? Kind of seems like a bit of a catch-22 here. Why can one do one and the other do another? Well, it's pretty simple. Something that's positive is usually going to be reflected very, very positively in the world around us. Something that's negative, not so much. If you have something that's really embraced more so on negativity, even though it is part of that yin and yang balance effect, it's typically going to be approached with a lot more negativity. It's going to take a lot more, it's going to take a lot more shit. It's going to take a lot more punishment from the world around it because it's something that either A, that they don't understand, or B, absolutely repulses them. However, once again, we get back to this whole idea that you can't have one without the other, and the fact that one is able to exist without the other is just kind of wrong. The final argument that I have to make, and this is kind of something that's a little bit personal, The final argument is the fact that both sides really feel as though they're better than the other. There's one side that really doesn't care as much, that you don't hear as much vocalization about. But in reality, there's vocalization on both ends, and a lot of it. On one end, you have the religious side. You have the side of good. You have the side of Christian rock music, of gospel music, and things like that. And these are artists that you don't hear about very often in the media. These are artists that have their own awards, that have their own structure for sales and everything like that. You don't hear a lot about these guys. This is something where it really isn't all that big of a problem. This isn't something that is going to really, some people would say, infect our lives. It's not something that's out there in a large fashion. You're not going to see these guys on the Grammy Awards. You're not going to see these guys doing any halftime shows at the Super Bowl. You're not going to see these guys really doing anything as far as that's concerned. They might sing the national anthem at a sporting event, and that's about it. You're not going to necessarily see them really be a permanent fixture on the airwaves. And for once, we actually have a little bit of a balancing act. Because on the other side, you're not going to see anybody from a death metal or a black metal or a satanic rock band, Ghost BC is a good example. You're not going to see them doing national anthems at sporting events. Well, actually, you might. That'd be kind of cool. But you're not going to see them singing at the Grammys. You're not going to see them at any major sporting events or major award ceremonies. They're not going to be performing for the President of the United States or Russia or fucking Bulgaria or shit like that. It's not going to happen unless they happen to buy a ticket and attend the show. So this is something where there's a lot of handshaking, but there is a lot of jabber. There's a lot of jabber, a lot of this. There's a lot of argument. And this, for fair reason. This is something that is really, really important to all aspects of people involved. To every person that is within this argument, it is something that has a lot of importance to them. They want to have freedom in order to really produce the music that they have and have the same freedoms as those that do it on the other side. The one thing I do have to let you guys both know is that you both have the same freedom and you both have the same restrictions, as I just mentioned. This is also something, though, where we have to agree to disagree a little bit. This is something where you have to understand that the antithesis has to exist in order for you to exist. Because without the antithesis, then what purpose would you really have for continuing onward? Imagine eliminating the antithesis on either side. Imagine eliminating God on one side. Then what would Satan have to really, go for? What would he have to really go for? Taking over Earth? Taking over us? Come on now. We're a bunch of flawed humans anyway. We're a flawed species that are just doing our best to fuck ourselves over. You almost need a God in the sky in order to really oppose. And now I'm talking to deities. This is crazy. But on God's side, where would he be without Satan? Where would he be without that antithesis? Where would he be without that whole idea of hell? That whole idea of eternal punishment for you being a bad person on Earth? This is something where both sides need to exist, and you can easily coexist in harmony. Of course, humans can't coexist in harmony. Absolutely not. We can't have both good and evil in us, can we? As I mentioned earlier, we do. But it's not something that's probably a good thing. It makes us very combustible people. And usually one side will tend to overrule the other, at least in a pretty big way. I guess what I intend with this video, is that for anybody who has a complaint about Satanism in music, any person who seems to really feel negatively toward this, that feels that this should be banned, that this should be outlawed, that this should not be allowed to exist, all I have to say to you is, well, if we take that away, we're taking away all of Christian rock too. We're taking away gospel. We're taking away Christian music. We're taking away any music that's about religion, because guess what? If you call it satanic music, for the bands that are actually using it as a bit of a ritualistic, song, you're taking away more religious music. Yeah, didn't think about that, did you? But that's something that's out there. Just like you have music that's based around the Christian faith, Satanism is a thing. There are many, many different forms of it. Paganism is a thing. There are many, many different elements to paganism. Whenever we think about it, we all sing songs, we all make music, we all release music, and really are inspired by music because of the messages that it really is able to bring across. And in reality, it's all something that we believe in. Unless it's a joke song, then you believe in the joke because you believe it's funny. So, I was right the first time. Everything that you believe in is something that is really firmly implanted within yourself. Whether it be within a heart full of the Holy Spirit, or a heart that's filled with Satan, with rage, with evil, with darkness. This is something where you need to understand that this has been an eternal tug of war ever since the inception, the element, the creation of both God and devil. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Just because you say something about it doesn't mean the evil is going to become any less. Because let's face it, on their end, you're the evil ones.